talk me through when you won Scottish Edge. Victoria Nicol, who owns My Language Connection, and the first time I actually met her, I watched her win Scottish Edge.
So core team of 10 just now in the UK, and then we've got the offices in Dubai, and then a network of 1,800 subcontractors globally. I remember one of the projects that we did was like into 84 languages. One thing that I have learned recently over the past couple of years is like values are so important. It's in front of a panel, so it's like a Dragon's Den style panel.
Well, one of the dragons was on it. Was it Theo Pethita? Scottish Edge. How much did you win?
We won 37,500.
He crowdfunded this 700 grand, and then like something happened and people started looking at the team, and it was like Shutterstock pictures of like people that was like, this is my CFO and this is total.
You're
It's like mad. I set up there and I lost a hell of a lot of money doing it.
We had about 30 people working on a really big tender over 2 days that should have taken at least a couple of months.
The thing that I find really scary for you is you're translating health stuff, pharmaceuticals, like that is scary. Welcome to the show where we talk to successful people about the bits you don't see. Today we're speaking to Victoria Nicol, who owns My Language Connection, and the first time I actually met her, I watched her win Scottish Edge. So hiya Victoria, how you doing?
Hi Callum, yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, good, and glad it's Friday.
Thank you for having me through. It's a bit rainy and cold and wet Glasgow.
I know, you're not used to this anymore, are you?
No,
like
it's a bit miserable. No. Flying home soon though, flying home on Wednesday, and hopefully not back for a while.
I know.
Right,
I can't wait to get back out there.
Yeah, you were only there a few weeks ago.
Tail end of January.
When you next back?
So should be back in April, May time. So we're hiring people out there just now, and I'm going out to train them and get everything sort of renewed with the licenses and such likes there. And you know what it's like. So we'll be there
we're going to get into that. I'm actually going to note down to speak about setting up in Dubai because it can be hard. So talk to me about your story. Start from the start. What's going on?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's lots going on just now, which is good. I, started at the business 8 years ago now, so we turn 8 next month. And so that was 2017. We made our first sale and developed our first client partnership back then with a company that do weed killer across Europe. And then since then, we've grown and spanned globally. So core team of 10 just now in the UK, and then we've got the offices in Dubai, and then a network of 1,800 subcontractors globally just now.
Oh wow.
So busy.
How do you manage 1,800 subcontractors?
1,800 subcontractors, yeah. So my team scale up and scale down based on our client project. So at any one given time, they've got about 300, 400 a month. So as you can see, the team that you met earlier on, they're the project managers behind the scenes, managing all of our linguists and translators and delivering all of our client projects in line with our ISO accreditations. So it's really good just now. So turning 8 next month, which is crazy to be honest. So I mean, the amount of change that's happened since we started up. And I was just talking to my market manager about this yesterday because I'm going to go speak at We Do Scotland next week. And it was about basically what I've learned and how I've developed as a leader over the past 8 years, which has been transformational, and you'll relate to that.
Gotcha. I think the person that started my business and this guy now, it's like they're not the same person.
Yeah, completely different. So it's the lessons that you learn through that, and again, you relate because I know we've 100%. Had a lot of conversations about finding the right team members, finding the right people, managing and developing, and it's not just managing and development. I think from the early days, from where we were then, and it was very much, we've always been really focused on client relationship, like massively focused on that, and over delivering in every aspect of that. So we've continued that as our key values. But just how the business has grown from then, and the team and the people that you require back then, completely different to the types of people that you need now. For delivery, for the marketing side of things, client relationship management side of things, and then we're really focused on the medical sector. So we've become more specialist in that area, which means that there's more risk. So you need more expertise, more technical expertise, we've now got some of our subcontractors working with us on a project management basis who are completely focused on regulatory body submissions for the pharma industry. So we have really evolved to become a lot more specialist in that area. So the types of people that we need have changed from back then to where they are now.
Nice. So how do you get into setting up a translation company? Because like, I don't know, I can kind of see the sense in my path, but I can't see how you end up there. Like, are you like some super translator person? Like, how did you end up there?
Yeah, sure. So my background is management technology and enterprise. So I studied an honours degree at Glasgow Caledonian, and which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I'm not from a family that went to university, so I was the first person in my family to go to uni. And I used to think, uni's not for folks like me, similar to the way you think. But I thought, do you know what? It was back then. It was the recession, 2018, 2019. I thought, right, okay, I need to do something, and I need to do something that's quite diverse. So I've definitely got a path for a career when I come out of it. So I thought, right, I'll do business. I'll do management technology and enterprise, and that's what I did. And I love the entrepreneurship aspect of it. So when I graduated, I did a lot of assessment centres, I did a lot of interviews. I really wanted to work in sales, so I wanted to go into recruitment because one, you get to travel a lot, and two, it's like fast-paced and fun.
You get paid well if you're good.
Exactly. So I thought, right, okay, great. And basically at the same time, I got offered to work in a translation agency, and it was a start-up translation agency. So it was very much, pitched to me at the time of you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to be quite close to the leadership team and responsible for starting to shape and manage that side of things. And when I went in, I was in sales. Absolutely hated it, for the first year. No, not the first year, but the first few months. Because you know what it's like, it's just like rejection after rejection. But also then developed a lot of resilience, understanding of people, being able to build relationships, create judgment. It's transformational. And went in, did that, and just absolutely loved. I loved it. Like, I had clients that were, from small companies to big companies all over the world, expanded into Europe, expanded into the Middle East. I got to liaise and manage some of the translators. I got to speak to my clients every day that were in so many different countries, regions. I remember one of the projects that we did was like into 84 languages. And then you're managing like a range of different cultures. And yeah, I just found it fascinating. It was so fast-paced. And that's how I got into it.
Nice. And so how'd you get from there to here? Talk me through that kind of bit.
Sure. So how I got from there to here, lots of hard work. And lots of, well, you definitely know this. It's lots of like quick decisions, lots of, I suppose, judgment, learning as you go, and lots of taking risks. So I would say that that's dead bland, isn't it, that answer?
Yeah, a little bit. Talk us through the journey,
sure.
How do you talk us through setting up, getting the first person, your first employee, all these sorts of things?
Sure. So our first employee was back when we had our offices in Berkeley Street in the West End, and that was in 2019 now. I'm pretty sure, when we hired in our first member of staff, and he was great. He came in and managed the project side of the business. So that's actually quite interesting because I started up with a lady at the time who was my former colleague in the last agency that I worked for. So the reason I started up MLC is because that company liquidated in February 2017. Right. So I lost my job as a consequence of that. And at the time, me and... You
thought, great idea, I'm going to go and set it up. This one's gone bankrupt, I'll just do it.
Yeah, the one that I worked at last went bankrupt. Yeah. Which, honestly, though, super painful, right? Super painful, because I was, part of the senior team, and there was redundancies, there was, sort of infighting happening. It was a really tough culture and a tough team to sort of be in charge of, in the sense of, like, it was tough for the leadership team, it was tough for them at the time. It was just really, really, it wasn't a great environment. But there was a lot of positives that came from it. So having that opportunity then to take on and do my own thing. And at the time, I still had a lot of clients, Callum, that were in the middle
They'd be lost
of having
because they would do
translation projects delivered, that suddenly, you know, they're not going to have their translation projects delivered. So my colleague and I at the time, we had a chat about starting up strategic translations, it was called, first of all. So we're like, okay, let's start this up. And that was in 2017. And yeah, we took the leap in March 2017. But basically when we started up, it was us two. And it was C and I at the time. She did projects and I did sales and client relationship management. And so we were really focused on, okay, she'll run that side of the business, I'll run this side of the business. So when she left, we parted ways in 2018. It was very much, right, okay, I need someone in who can run that side of things. And that led us then to hiring our first employee and who took care of the project side of things. So, I mean, you've had, you know,
too many
partnerships too many employees at one time, but also partnerships that don't work out. And it's painful at the time. And sometimes you're thinking to yourself, okay, do I want to continue on? How do I continue on? Because you've been used to that dynamic as partners. But it teaches you so much. You know, it's about, if you are going to get in a partnership, the key thing is looking at who is going to be that, you know, value point. Who's going to be like my partner in crime there? What are they going to take care of? What can I take care of? How can we work together? You have to have similar values. There has to be alignment. And you both have to have quite a similar vision. Like with my original business partner and I, the vision was different. And when we got to a certain point and there was more growth and risk, then it was really apparent that we had just different ways that we saw the growth of the company. And it was so important that we either continued to work together on the same page or at that point parted ways. And we both came to that agreement, which is a big, huge learning point, but also gave me a really good opportunity to start to grow things.
So did you want more growth and she didn't?
Yeah. I wanted more growth and she didn't want that. And our visions were different. You know, I was very much for, okay, let's now hire people in, let's harness this growth, let's, you know, take care of our clients better, let's make sure that we fulfill our responsibilities with our translators, let's make sure that our reputation is absolutely stellar in the industry. And that's a lot of risk and hard work. And at the time as well, we very much we were invoicing 50% of all of our invoices for our projects up front. So we had cash in the business to pay our suppliers, because we always paid our suppliers 30 days after the project was delivered. So we were quite focused on that because, you know, when you have a small business, it's not easy to get funding in. It's not easy to be trusted by the banks.
When you're starting up from scratch, you can't.
So, no, you can't. And because funding circle and things, they normally need 2 years of accounts. So, and the bank doesn't know you from Adam yet, you know. So it's tricky. So that's the way we did it. But what happened is we started to take on larger contracts within the construction industry, engineering industry, some other industries that had 60 to 90 days, and agreeing to that, which caused cash flow issues. So the key thing was, right, how are we going to solve this together? And so we started to focus on that there, but also, you know, really put a strong need for us to make quick decisions and start to think, okay, how do we then ensure that we've got cash in to pay our suppliers, to make sure that we uphold our reputation and to deliver. And we were, I think we just had different ways in which we wanted to navigate that and do that at that time. So that I think that really put pressure on us and sort of expedited that decision to look at, you know, how are we working going forward, and is that something that we both want to do? Because it was massive, you know. It's like you know what it's like. It's like you're taking on funding, personal guarantees and such likes there to keep things going. So yeah, we were just like, I suppose then we were just like, right, okay, continue to work together on like a subcontractor basis. She continued to do some project management for us.
So what, you kept the business going and she's left the business?
Yeah. And she was working for us in a bit of a subcontractor position. So yeah, that was like a big learning curve. And then that pushed me to get our first member of staff in.
And now you've got, I think, 10 staff. How'd you get from there to here?
Yeah, sure. So we've got 10 direct staff just now, and then we've got our subcontractors. So my team's made up of marketing, our projects, sales side of things. So how do you get from there to here? That's a good question. That's a good question.
Like growth-wise, so like what steps have you needed to take to get from, you know, just that one person to all the guys that you've got now?
Well, definitely the key thing is getting clear on your values. Like getting clear on your values.
I'm so bad at that. Like yeah, like I don't like, I know what I want, but I don't necessarily
you and I are very
tell anyone else what I want. So yeah, I'm very good at knowing my values and knowing what they are, but like I don't sit down and like I'm gonna fucking write them down and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Like I know what my values are, and probably nobody else does.
Yeah. But then as you continue to grow, like that's super important to retain people, and then also know that you're hiring in the right behaviours and the right people that's in line with those. Because you and I are very similar that way. I think we've got kind of similar values, and that means that if people don't know what you expect or want intrinsically from them and how you want them to operate and behave.
I think I probably expect them to telepathically know that. Like, and when you say it out loud, it's like, this is the most stupid thing I've ever said in my life. But like, I think that when I sit and think like that's what I want, I just think everyone else should know that without me probably telling them.
Yeah. And how do you think they do know that?
Well, I don't think they do. No, like when you actually talk about it, they probably still don't.
But do you feel though, as if like, because you've had some really good members of like staff before that are totally on the same page as you, do you think sometimes it's just that like energy or just that knowing?
Yeah, I think it's probably luck. Like I guess you probably resonate when you talk with them and then you go, right, great. But I've never kind of done that exercise of like, this is the values, and I've probably always thought it's a bit airy-fairy. Which is probably not true, but I'm probably turning more towards the kind of airy-fairy side than I ever have been before. But at the start, I was like, drive, sell, do this, do that. And I guess we're all like that at the start, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, definitely. Because that's the exact same as me. It was, okay, we're still very sales focused. We've always grown organically and commercially. So it's still very much like, right, we've got, you know, targets in the business, KPIs. But one thing that I have learned recently over the past couple of years is like values are so important, because if you get the wrong people in, it means that ultimately it's going to cost the business money, it's going to cost you time, and it's just going to be, they're not going to know what expectations and behaviours there are within the organisation. So yeah, it causes a myriad of different problems.
And I've had that at business partner level, right? So the big project that I've got down south, I brought in people in that project that it turned out our visions didn't quite align, and that caused total carnage.
It does, doesn't it? Like, so like having it mapped out and then having it like within, because we do the team building day out now, like once a year, and it's so clear. And every time I speak to my people, and my market manager highlighted this yesterday, she's like, do you realise how often that you talk about the values and you talk about the performance in line with the values? You highlight people's like successes in the company in line with the values. And I'm like, no, do I? Like, she's like, yeah, like every single meeting you're talking about it. And that's because I've figured out how to articulate intrinsically what is so important to our clients, to me, to how we grow as a business. Like, quality is so important, and like exceptional client service, so important to us. So yeah, ultimately I think it's really, really valuable to have that up in the wall.
I'm so bad at that. Like, honestly, this is why I do this podcast, right? Because I want to learn from other people, and like that's a bit of a lesson for me to like probably do some of that airy-fairy stuff.
Because otherwise people just keep
don't
on
have a clue.
Going.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And like my team work from home, like the consultancy side, they'll work from home. So like you don't even have that kind of, we're all in the same place and stuff like that, which is obviously hard.
Yeah.
Right, my language, not my language connection, Scottish Edge, let's flip onto that. Yeah. Talk me through when you won Scottish Edge, right? Or one part of it.
2019,
Talk us through that whole thing.
Sure. So that seems like ages ago, Callum. That was like...
Well, that was when we first like met. I was in the crowd watching it. And I don't even know how we ended up talking after it. I have no actual idea, but
Because I've rented your pods.
Oh, was that what it was?
Remember, because it was like the Hug Money, I'd rented your pods with the girls.
Yeah.
And you messaged me saying, I think you're the person that's Scottish Edge. Remember?
Yeah.
And we were going up to stay at yours, was Hogmanay or something?
I vaguely remember that now.
Yeah. So that was it.
So that was when we met, when you were in, and I've obviously messaged you when you stayed at the pods after.
Yeah, and that was just when you were going to Dubai.
Yeah. For a holiday that I never came back from 5 years later. Talk me through Scottish Edge, because it looks pretty cool. I've never I've been so bad at getting into the grant stuff and any of that. I just go and just work hard, use hammer, smash things. So talk to me about Scottish Edge.
I hear you. So Scottish Edge is really good. Now, definitely same stage as what you're saying. We were focused on hammer at that point. So I only had 2 members of staff at that point. It's not really like that much staff. 2 team members at the time, and it was me.
Yeah.
So I was very much focused on servicing our clients, the sales side of things, keeping the business going, keeping it growing, overseeing the guys, because one of my guys were sales at the time and one was projects, so I'm overseeing everything. So at night, that's when I was doing Scottish Edge, and that's when I was filling out the application and things. Now, what's really good about it is a full picture of your business, and you look at what you've achieved thus far, what the vision is, what the mission is, what are you looking to do as a company, how are you looking to scale, but it also gives you a good opportunity to actually do a full 360 of your business, so far, to say, what have we achieved, have we commercialised, where's our client base, what's our segmentation of different industries, what's the focus going forward. Our key thing was getting funding in to become ISO accredited, and that's because we had a handful of medical clients at the time who were saying, Victoria, we'd love to work with MLC, but we need you to be ISO accredited to be able to service this contract effectively to the quality standard, because it's in medical. So we were like, right, cool, that sounds good. And we had no way at the time, because as you know, I'd spoken to lots of different funding sources, and we just weren't getting the funding. So Scottish Edge seemed like a great source at the time to go for, a great competition. And it's not just about the funding, it's about the fact that, along with that comes so many opportunities. So there's PR opportunities, there's opportunities for you to grow and develop as a leader, you get feedback on your public speaking. There's loads of things you can get, and it's the network, being part of the alumni network. I've met so many cool business owners that are so ambitious to scale that I've learned loads from, and we've connected, we've done business together, we've worked together. So from that point of view, it was something that I thought, right, go for it. But similar to you, it's like that hammer approach, and taking that focus away to do something that doesn't seem completely focused on bringing in sales was a bit like, right, is this the best direction? But someday I think, it was Jack that works as the marketing manager over there. He encouraged me to go for it. We were going to go for Young Edge because the age and stage that we were at. And when I met with Jack encouraged me to go for the Big Edge because of the turnover that we had already. The client base and the structure, the model was already working.
Established.
So, and we were commercialised in the sense we were making sales with clients. So that's why I went for it, actually, now thinking back on it. So it was through networking.
And talk me through the process. You apply, and then what happens?
So you apply, and then you submit the application, and you go through the semi-finals. So if you get through and you're shortlisted, you're invited to speak in front of a panel. So you're invited to pitch your business, and they ask lots of questions about the business, about your strategy, your focus, what you've done so far, what the vision is for the business. And it's in front of a panel, so it's like a Dragon's Den style panel.
Well, one of the dragons was on it. Was it Theo Paphitis? Who was a dragon at one point.
Yeah. So he gave me my trophy. So
nice.
He did. And he's incredible. So basically application form, then it's semi-finals to pitch in front of a board and a group of really cool other sort of scale-up founders, consultants, brilliant minds basically. So they've done a full analysis on your business model, on your application, and they ask you lots of questions about it. Once that's done, it's then through to the final through to the live edge, which is speaking in front of, I think it's an audience of 200 to 300 folks at RBS. Yeah. And then once that's done, it's over to the panel, which you would have seen, which is the judges again. And, you know, you've got like Simon Hanna there, the owner of Phil Show, Vicky Mendelsohn, you know, so some really, again, great, incredible business owners, Scottish business owners. And they asked you lots of questions. Again, it's like a Dragon's Den style panel. Yeah. Lots of questions about the business.
It was so quick. That was the thing that I found crazy. Like, you're up for like 10 minutes or something and that's it, done.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, so good. And you saw it, didn't you? Just like, there was folks like that went up before me, and you can see that they just lost, you know, their footing with some of the things that they were presenting and pitching on, and you're like, they've got such a great business, you know, incredible model, they're doing so well. But when you stand up in front of that crowd, sometimes, you know, sort of the nerves can just take over, because it's quite a nerve-wracking thing. I think I'd practiced about 50 times when I went up there.
Nice.
So it might have come across a little bit robotic, but that was a result of practicing about 50 times in front of friends and family and a phone and the team and going up. But no, it was good, and I won it on the night. So it's quite. Some of the feedback is it's quite rare for businesses to go through all the stages and then win on the night first time. So we felt super lucky.
Yeah,
I felt super lucky. And it was down to the entrepreneurial spark.
Yeah.
That's the feedback that I got afterwards. So, yeah. I mean, even then they were asking about MT and AI and how our industry was going to be disrupted by it, which is huge, absolutely huge. Yeah, like it's totally changed the industry, especially over the past year, AI. So you'll see that every single like LSP, just now language service providers, that's what my language connection is, it's a language service provider. All LSPs are just being completely disrupted and we've had to rapidly innovate over the past year. So that's been, you know, a big challenge, and then also about how you continue to stay at the forefront of everything, which has been quite exciting, but it's just another stage. We were just talking about that before we started. So it's another, well, we were talking about COVID and the impact of COVID before we started. How have you guys, what have you guys done with AI?
I'm trying it, but we probably don't need it to be as fast as what you do, because it's not, you can't go and do what my consultancy does on AI yet. I mean, you maybe could soon, but I guess a lot of your stuff you probably could, which will be challenging. I'm going to dig into that a bit more in a sec. I'll put that into the bits that you don't see. Before we go on from Scottish Edge, funny story actually on that first. So the guy that I went to Scottish Edge with, he was my friend at my time, I guess I kind of semi-still speak to him. He had like a massive hoo-ha. I've tried to get him on the podcast, but he wouldn't come. He was like in the papers. He's like had this like fake thing where like he's taken like 700 grand from investors. I'll tell you his name after. You can Google it. He's all over the papers. That I can't even remember what the business was. Student lets. He was doing student lets, and it was one of the crowdfunding things that he was on, and he crowdfunded this 700 grand, and then like something happened and people started looking at the team, and it was like Shutterstock pictures of like people that was like, this is my CFO and this is total fucking ruse, like mad. And he also turned up through here actually at, what's that place, Mar Hall, for the Scotland football training, like the Scottish national football team. He turned up and pretended to be a coach, and like just like was like trying to like take the coaching and stuff over the papers. I don't even know. He's like just like a guy that you kind of know. He's not really my friend anymore. I tried to get him on the podcast, but like I mean, he's had a total disaster, like PR disaster. Like obviously,
did he actually do that then? Like was he pretending to be something that he wasn't?
Well, it would appear so. I don't know. I've never like directly spoke to him about it.
So that's why you want to speak with him.
Well, yeah, it would appear from the I mean, like, you know, I don't necessarily believe everything I read in the papers, but there's enough volume of stuff that appears to be the case that it would seem like he has done it all. And funnily enough, actually, he turned up at like Airdrie football training as well. And my friend owns Airdrie, so I keep meaning to ask him about it. I'm actually going to try and get him on the podcast as well. But total carnage. I went to the Scottish Edge with that. It was like, to be fair, it was like the only thing I ever done. Maybe I had a couple of coffees here and there. Funny story on who I came and watched you with.
It sounds like what's that fire?
Yeah, funny enough, I turned that on last night. I fell asleep straight after it, but
That's funny.
You know what, right? Funny story on fire as well. I don't know if you've thought this when you watched it. Up until a point, I get it. Like, I watched that and I'm like,
because it's like he's got quite a sound business model, and his team are totally bought into like what they're doing, like in Mission, like they're so focused on it.
100%.
And then suddenly they just don't pay them anymore, and suddenly things are starting to unravel. But as you say, I think up until a certain point, because
he's so deep in, and like the things that he did, I'm like, I would have done that. I would have done that too. I would have done that too. And then it's when they get to the point of like, we have storm shelters and it's raining and this is going to go really bad, that I would have probably been like, probably should not let the people get on the plane. He's obviously let the people get on the plane. I think that's probably his only thing that I was like, I wouldn't have done that. But up until that point, like, I completely got everything that he did.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that you can see, I was thinking about this actually a couple of weeks ago, because I was thinking about some great brands and then some brands that haven't made it. And I was thinking about Worldwide Business, like the company I worked at before I started up here. And like, I was reflecting on why that failed, and also reflecting on where MLC is now. Because MLC is now 8, and WWB liquidated when it was like 4 or 5, I think. So I was like, what is the difference? And do you know what I think it is? I think it's like, you are saying up until that point, it was like that fire festival was like super going well, and you would have taken all those decisions. And
even when it wasn't, it's like, I can see why you've made that decision.
I can, but do you not think the difference is like the way you make decisions, the way I make decisions? It's like, that is the difference between like a fire festival or something totally folding and being responsible to people and not being able to fulfill its commitments versus a business that does fulfill its commitments. It's the decision making behind it. Even when it's tough, because it's easy, see, when it's tough, to just keep on, maybe, but also, do you know what I was thinking about? And you'll get this as well, is I was thinking about how difficult it can be sometimes, and you're a bit like, you know, am I making the right decision, or not? I don't question my decision, I don't ever question my decision making, because whatever, I'm going to make it, but am I in the right conditions to make the best decision?
Because that's true.
You know, so I think that maybe he's maybe not a bad person. I mean, I don't know, right? Because he could be an absolute psychopath, we don't know. But is it the conditions sometimes? Because you know what it's like, see, when you're in the thick of a fire and putting out a fire, or you're about to lose like a big client, or there's something that's come, you know, I have a network of subcontractors, so you can't control every single aspect. And sometimes things have happened, and we've been like, what can that mean for us, you know? And luckily we've always managed it, and we've always resolved and learned from it and moved on. But I was a bit like, when you're in the conditions of a fire, is your decision making always sound?
To be honest, it probably rarely is, and you're only thinking to solve the thing that's on fire. Like, I mean, I've had ones recently when I'm like, I put out the fire, but I've caused a really big problem for 3 months from now.
Exactly.
And you do that, and he probably just done that over and over and over until the 3 months caught up.
Yeah. And then I reflected on a decision that I made with the team a couple of years ago, and I was like, right, that's interesting, because that's causing a different set of problems just now.
And it always does.
And I was like, if I could just talk to myself 2 years ago.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But the good thing about it is you do learn. Because then I was doing some things this week, and I was like, right, I'm not going to do that in terms of hiding that, you know, skill set or behaviours. And even though maybe a few years ago, which is actually quite interesting, a few years ago I would have.
100%.
So I do think there is something to be said of people actually want to always make the best decisions, but sometimes we're in the thick of it as business owners, especially smaller companies. Like, you've got 10 folks, I've got 10 folks. It's like sometimes you're just in the thick of it, you know,
100%.
and you're trying to make the best decision for everybody. to then make sure that everything is, delivered, is fixed, is perfect, team are happy, clients are happy, but you're not always going to get it right.
100%.
So I can see where you're going with that.
Right, Scottish Edge.
Yeah.
How much did you win?
We won 37,500.
Random amount. And what do they do? Do they just you wake up on Monday morning, they've transferred you?
Yeah.
Nice, that's fun.
They do 50% as soon as you win.
Yeah.
And then 50% after a certain amount of time once you hit the milestones that you've set out.
So did you have a set of deliverables that I'm going to go and do this?
I had a set of deliverables.
What were they?
Putting the ISO accreditation in place, hiring some more folks in.
Yeah.
And invested in technology or CAT tools.
Yeah.
And then showing sales from the back of that, which we were able to. So you've got the milestones, key milestones. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, talk me through Dubai, because you're setting up there, or you've set up there.
We set up there.
What's the story? What you got going on?
We're in Dubai, so we've got licensed to trade in Dubai Silicon Oasis. And so we set up two years ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And we've mainly had subcontractors to the network. So we run everything through the UK. So it's ISO accreditations here, we've got a reputation, we're established, we've got a sound business model, we've got repeat business. So we've been servicing through the UK. But certainly the key things is ensuring that we are delivering with certain timeframes and time constraints. So we're now hiring for our first boots on the ground over there just now. So we're finalising an interview process with some folks. So yeah, all set up to trade. We've got clients in the region, mainly within publishing and retail and automotive.
All right.
And a bit of oil and gas as well. And yeah, totally different culture over there, isn't it? Totally different culture.
Chaos. I set up there and I lost a hell of a lot of money doing it. It is it eats you up and spits you out if it wants to. It really does. I don't know if you've noticed that yet, but yeah, it is crazy over there.
What do you mean when it eats you up and spits you out?
Just you don't quite realise, or maybe it was just me, or maybe it was the kind of industry that I was going in, that the local culture is very different, obviously. You know, they're a different continent. But I think the thing that I struggled with was, I think it's a cultural thing that they don't say no. So I was selling stuff, or oh, let's do this together, let's do that together. And they were loving it. They were buying it. They're like, yeah, let's do that. We're going to do this site together. We're going to do this, or we're going to go and buy 600 pods from you, or whatever. And after a year of having all these deals that then didn't happen, that I spent loads of money on, and time and effort. It was actually a year later, I started speaking to people. I was like, they always say that they're going to do this thing, and then they rarely do this thing. What's going on? And the person was like, it's just a cultural thing. They locals don't know how to say no. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what's happened. And I've probably done 100 grand or more, and a year, 18 months of work, and it was all just kind of down the toilet. Yeah. Which, I mean, look, it is what it is. That's what you do.
No,
but
it is. It's to a certain degree, and you know this, you have to be in the region, and you have to be connected with people. But I've had some really good senior meetings with really big healthcare providers over there, and it is a little bit smoke and mirrors.
It is 100%, 100%.
You don't really know who you're speaking with.
Don't have a clue what's going on.
You're promised that you're going to have a meeting with the CEO. Over here, we have clients in the US, we have clients in Asia, some parts of Asia, and we've got clients in Europe and the UK. And you know where you are with everybody. It's very much, certainly contract focus, and we're established here, so we've got a good reputation, and everything that we do is mainly either contract focused, but we work on a project by project basis. We work in a contract focus for anywhere between 12 to 36 months for our clients. So it's very established here, but I do find over there, you can spend a lot of time and energy and effort in meetings, and you might not always be given a full indication transparently in terms of what's going on.
And like, I'm a guy that likes to get to know quickly so that I can go and do something else.
Yeah.
But you never really get to the know, and then it's like, what has actually just happened? I've wasted so much of my life on this. And yeah, I think it's a cultural thing, and I think it's just something that, you know, I've probably struggled to get used to.
Yeah.
But it's...
What happened? Because you were going to hire a business development manager over there. Did you hire someone?
We didn't, because that was kind of at the point when it was like a bit of like are we going to do it, are we going to not? And it was like, let's just persist ourselves first, because what if this is a waste of time, and then we've got you know, and you know what people get paid over there. If you've got somebody on £5,000 a month or something that the business is generating zero, you know, we're already 80 grand in a hole by this point. Let's not dig ourselves much deeper. So I didn't in the end.
I think it's different business models over there.
Yeah.
It's different ways of doing it. I mean, you've got a good few friends over there. I've got a good few friends over there that have relocated from the UK, but they still keep their businesses running over here in the UK, and they just...
So most of my friends are, or, you know, a lot of the friends that I've got that have successful businesses in Dubai, it's selling to Westerners, so we like understand each other. Like what we said, Calvin and Ryan, suited and booted. They do well, but their main market is UK. You know, Westerners, British, American, whatever. So it makes it a lot easier because you still know where you stand because it's the same culture. Whereas, when you're dealing with locals, it's just it's not their fault. That's just the way they are as people, and we don't get it probably. And that's as much on us as anyone else. Yeah,
and it's I've had a couple of clients that have went for investment over in the Middle East, Saudi, Dubai. And it's been a completely new market for them, and unfortunately they've lost out to that deal because of things where it's we're going to discuss this amount and then it doesn't transpire. So, but the good thing about us is we do have some clients over there, and we are certainly from the revenue point of view, it's not as high as what the UK generates, but it does generate revenue over there.
That's good.
Which is positive, and that's how we've been able to then start to hire folks in, which is good. And then having that license to trade, it gives us a bit of a competitive advantage over other small LSPs that are around about MLC size. So I mean, our industry is it's changing rapidly at the moment, but that's also, I've never seen it change at this level. And what that's meant is there's loads of M&As, mergers and acquisitions happening right now in our industry, which means that the smaller agencies are being bought over to then build something that's bigger. But what's quite beautiful about us is we're agile, so we're quite small. We've got the base in Dubai. So we've got the base in Dubai, we've got the base here, and then we've got our client base, and then our core team here. And so we're able to pivot quite quickly because of the size that we are.
And it's just you making decisions as well, which makes something a lot quicker.
Yeah, so I'm still 100% shareholder, 100% director, so that means that I can make decisions a lot faster, which I think is great. But
it's so useful now,
it's really useful, especially when you do have to move quite quickly, and that's what this stage of our industry is calling for just now. It's pivoting and moving quite quickly. So we've started to look at our service offering, look at what we're doing. We're playing with AI models just now. We've started to create new services around this, and some case studies around this. So our use cases, and that's something that we have always been good at, is being quite good at staying at the forefront of the market trends, what's going on for our clients, being there to help them through changes like this, and then helping them just get an idea as to what this is going to look like. What does this mean for their localization projects? What does this mean when they're going into new MENA regions? How can they be using this? So we've got to the forefront of that with them, and then we're helping to start to shape that side of things. I was having a laugh with one of my clients the other day. I was like, let's face it, nobody really knows what it is. We know what it is, but I think everybody's, people are just asking for it as part of tenders now, but they don't know what they mean by the use of it, because they can't define it because it's so new. So they're looking at LSPs like us to say, how do we start to shape this? How do we start to put this into our service how do we start to put this into our projects? what should we consider when we're expanding? How can we be using this? How can we make things more efficient, quality driven, but also mitigate the risk of it? Because it is the maximum accuracy levels this is right now is only 80%. So it's still not at that 100% human level. So that's why we went for our ISO 5060 last year. It's all about evaluating the output of that end AI or MT output with human.
Yeah.
That's people that are experienced. My translators, they all have a degree education and what they're translating for. So in oncology, cardiology, ophthalmology, like different medical specialisms. So they completely understand it. And they'll have a degree in linguistics and also at least 3 to 5 years of experience, because you can't take like a legal text and give that to a marketing translator, say there you go, or you can't give a marketing piece of text that you're trying to talk about how to effectively, you know, improve patients' care, lives that have diabetes. You can't give a marketing text to a legal translator and say come up with something there. You know, you can't give it to AI and it's going to do that. We literally just had a big project for one of my team's clients, one of our clients this week, and they've used MT as the first part. But things like the product name is translated, the decimalization system, because it's going into Spanish, isn't a tier 2. You know, they're using full stops instead of commas, things like that. So that's just little examples and nuances as to how MT and AI isn't there yet. But it's exciting to train the models. You know.
So where do you think it's going to go? Like, where are we going to be in 2 years?
It's a question, isn't it?
I think it'll get there. I think it's going to get there quickly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, what do you think is going to happen?
But I think there's still going to be that need for human validation to some degree. It's very intelligent, you know that. It's learning rapidly.
I use it for all my marketing now. We don't have a marketing person now. I am the marketing person. I just do marketing one day a week.
You're quite clever with your marketing.
It's what I'm best at.
You're very good at
which helps. But yeah, I've definitely it writes all my blogs. I'll give it. I film a video.
But see your blogs though, is that for your website and things there?
Yeah, so like technical
do you not need to be careful about that, because then if it recognises that you're using MT and AI, it can then debunk you.
So people say that, but I mean we have multiple articles at the top of Google that AI has written. So yeah, a lot of my research. What I do though is, I mean, it is written by AI, but what I'll do is I'll sit down in the morning. I do it all in the morning. I'll record a video about whatever the topic is. Talk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. One of them was like 30 minutes, and then I'll put the transcript into ChatGPT and say, give me a blog on that, and it'll give me the whole blog. I mean, I do this. I'll do this with the podcast. So I'll take the transcript. I'll put the transcript in. I'll copy and paste that into AI, and I'll say, give me the YouTube description. Give me all my stuff's all done by ChatGPT. I mean, I just don't have the time to do it all, and to be honest, it's fucking better than what I can do. What is your proudest moment?
Yeah, so my proudest moment is definitely, we've talked about this, I would say winning Scottish Edge is one of the proudest moments. Being able to, you know, certainly from a personal point of view, do the public speaking part, but also have the validation that the model of my language connection was working well, on the right track, having that validation about the entrepreneurial spark. It was, you know, that was definitely one of the proudest moments, and it's definitely the competition format that they set it up in. I had my friends there, we were all sitting waiting. Yeah,
the crowd and stuff as
well.
Crowds
there, the energy, and then at the end they put on, you were there, I think you were there. They put on the music and then they'd start describing the business, and I remember my best friend's face. She just turned around to me and she went, "That's your business, that's your," and I was like, "That's me." And the girls took a picture and I'm just like head in the hands, and you know, it was a really proud moment.
Nice.
So it's good. More recently, I think one of the proudest moments is the fact that, you know, we have had people approach the company that are interested in buying my language connection from other language service providers. That's proud, because it's showing that, and the sort of feedback in the market for the size that we are just now, and what we've achieved, what the turnover is, what the client portfolio is, what we've done as a business and continue to do. we're quite desirable. So certainly I would say that that's a proud moment because 100%. It's showing that we're definitely on that right track and we are desirable for M&A, so merger and acquisition. So definitely that's a proud moment. Not looking at that there in much more detail just now, but it's definitely a proud moment to be approached and, definitely be desirable from that perspective. Proud moments, honestly, see when we, my team achieve things that they never thought possible, we never thought possible. It's a small company. And then suddenly we've just won this big contract, we've delivered this huge project, my team have stepped up to do something that they didn't think they could possibly do. That's really a proud moment. And then you get to hear the outcome of that is one of our clients before Christmas, they won a large tender in Latin America and Central America because of my team quickly mobilised an extended team of our linguists. We had about 30 people working on a really big tender over 2 days that should have taken at least a couple of months. When my team were able to mobilise our groups of translators and deliver on projects that size and those time constraints, it's a very proud moment for me as a leader and as a manager and a boss, because it shows me what the team are capable of and it shows me what we can do. And also then to have that response from our clients to say, we won this huge tender, we're now selling our medical devices into a range of several new territories as a result, and we're getting our first human patients into clinical trials in Europe faster because of you guys. And we've been able to innovate a process, pull a team together. That's a proud moment.
Nice.
That's a really big proud moment. Big proud moment is having your client, one of my clients since 2018, they've now grown to round about 30% of our turnover because of the great work that my team's done, that we've done across 52 countries.
Nice.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Getting the feedback that we've changed their business model and their processes from the localization side of things. And as I say, as a result of that, we've got the first human patient in a clinical trial faster.
Nice.
That's huge. That's a proud moment.
Well done.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good segue into some of the bits that you don't see. Something that I've kind of, as we've been talking, I've been thinking how the hell do you even start to manage that?
Yeah.
The volume of subcontractors in the volume of countries with the volume of languages. How do you make that happen?
Yeah. I mean, so we talked about this. We're ISO accredited. That simply means we have to have standard operating procedures for every part of the business, right? In line with total quality management, end to end. So every single part of the business, from vendor management, that's resourcing our linguists, to assessing our translators' competencies, experience, qualifications, we call that vendor management. That's processed and that's evaluated by external auditors every 6 months, right through to then the assignment of our right linguists to our clients' projects. That part is all trained, our sales team are trained, our projects team are trained to the ISO standards. And again, that's audited every 6 months. The part where our team then manage all of that through our systems, we've got CAT tools, computer assisted translation tools, that start to speed up the process, make it more efficient, all the while maintaining 100% quality and accuracy. That's all to ISO standard, right through to the house check procedure, again, which is in line with ISO standards. So that means that we have rigorous standard operating procedures for every part of the business, and our team are regularly trained, checked in on, managed to, supported with, and led on those areas. And we have weekly check-in meetings with the projects team, weekly check-in meetings with the sales team, not just around the targets and KPI areas, but around the delivery areas in line with the quality requirements for those standards. So we do that every week. My general manager does internal audits every week and reports back to me on those, and then we're audited every 6 months. So that's how we're able to maintain that level of quality standard in countries and deliver those projects across 52 countries. but also my team are experienced. So they've all got degrees in linguistics, degrees in project management. They've come from the industry, so we know how to manage projects. You know, I've come from the industry. My head of partnerships come from the industry. He's been in the industry 15 years. Some of my team next door, they come from Strathclyde University, studying interpretation and linguistics. They speak several languages themselves. So my team are very specialist and qualified, and also my extended team is. And then we use our CAT tools, our computer-assisted translation tools, for efficiency and speed. So through our ISO accredited systems and processes, through our translation technology, through my team's qualifications, specialisms, my direct and extended team, that's how we're able to deliver to the standard that we are. And then we're audited by external auditors. So yeah, it ensures that we're able to be kept on our toes, we're evaluated, we're assessed, and we deliver to it.
Nice.
You know, and we've got a good reputation in our market. We pay our translators fairly. We pay them on time, which that sounds dead simple to me.
No,
but actually,
I can see it not being,
yeah, like a big thing in our industry. You know, and you know, it's we've got a good reputation, and one of my values is operating transparently with accountability. My people operate to that standard. Yeah. Everybody does. You know, it's, you know, we actually, as part of our translators onboarding process, we have it in the application forms. You know, will you work in line with MLC's values? Do you uphold and adhere to the values of operating transparently with accountability? And so it's part of the process, and we ask for examples. So we don't just validate the skills and competencies and experiences and qualifications, we assess the values and behaviours, because that's the thing that's going to assure that we continue to deliver to that standard.
That makes sense.
So that's how we're able to do it.
Nice. Now, you're selling to presumably different countries as well. Are you only selling in English, or like do you talk to people in different languages to sell? Because that sounds quite hard as well.
Yeah, so we do. We speak. We've got in-house, we've got Spanish, French, German and Italian. And that's our core languages in-house, and of course Arabic. Yeah. So that's our core languages in-house. So our team converses with our clients in those languages, and then with our translators, as we know, we've got 250 languages across my team of translators. So we can converse in a range of different languages. And right now the website has been updated into Arabic for Dubai. Nice. Just now and localised. So that's a big project that we're doing at the moment. So yeah. Lovely.
Okay, so the probably scariest thing about your business for me, and I was at a guy who had a gym the other day, and I'm like, I don't know if I would like the idea of people being able to hurt themselves. The thing that I find really scary for you is you're translating health stuff, pharmaceuticals, like that is scary, is it not?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That sounds petrifying.
But somebody has to do it, and ultimately there's large LSPs that do it, and then there's the smaller LSPs that do it. The thing about us is the way we mitigate that risk is, as you know, as I say, is our people are qualified to that standard, and also we are ISO accredited, which means we're audited by external auditors, because we deal with such risky subject matters and documents, such as instructions for use documents for medical devices, and we work on regulatory body submissions with pharma clients. We are audited every 6 months by external people to then ensure that we are compliant to those standards. So yeah, it's risky, of course it is, but we mitigate that risk with the level of experience and competency in my team.
And process.
And process, massively.
That makes sense. Okay, if you were to go back to the start, to your very first day when you were going to do what you currently do or something different, would you carry on and do what you do now, or would you go and take a different path?
I'd probably carry on and do what I do just now. I mean, that varies on a week-to-week basis, as you know. So.
If you ask you the wrong time, no, take it all. No way. No, thank you.
No, but seriously, I wouldn't change it. Like, the amount of experience that I've gotten over the past, just shy of a decade through running My Language Connection. Yeah, I wouldn't change that. I wouldn't change that for the world.
Where do people keep up to date with you?
Sure, yeah. So people keep up to date with me mainly personally on LinkedIn. Yep. And then the business on LinkedIn and through Instagram.
Nice. Okay, good. Right, well, thank you very much, Victoria. It's been great. Thank you, everyone at home, for listening. We spoke to somebody great today. Please, could you like, share, follow, and hopefully we can speak to somebody just as great next time. Thank you. Thank you.